Perhaps it is important also to set the circumstance that has led to this meeting. I participated in a town hall meeting where Mr. Damolekun was also a member of the conversation group. But we could not agitate the issue of metering sufficiently. She asked if I would be ready to continue the conversation, and I agreed, because it was my sense that citizens deserve the right to know. They also deserve the right to be heard, and to the extent that it is the obligation of government to provide service, we are here tonight. I also suggested that instead of asking me to come and explain what is happening to power, all of us must lock in to the reality of our power situation, that it is now largely a private business owned and managed by investors who have bought the assets. And government is only now responsible for the transmission end of the business, largely. Except for a few power generating plants that were started under the NIPP that we are planning to complete, our focus really now is regulation of the industry through agencies like NERC, whose representative is in the audience, agencies like NEMSA, the safety agency, who ensure that there's safety in the business, and MBET, who guarantee financial stability in the business. I believe that we will hear from all of them tonight. But the point to make is that our power journey is in transition. Public power started in Nigeria in 1950. Today, it will be about 66 years. I believe about 3 years ago, after 63 years, we came to the very clear conclusion, it seemed, through our representatives in Parliament, when they passed the law. But we completed the implementation of that law 8 years after we ought to have done so. We finished that process in 2013. So we are shy of 3 years of transition from public power, public-owned power, to private managed power and public regulated power. There are challenges in the industry, and they are not unusual in a transition, when you are changing from a very long accustomed way to a new accustomed way of doing business. But I am confident. Every waking day since I assumed office 11 months ago, incidentally, today makes it 11 months, every waking day it becomes clearer to me that these problems are not as technical as indeed they are man-made. And I will share some of the challenges with you as we go on. But I'm confident that we will overcome the problem. In addressing how we approach the problem, our ministry has designed what I think is an easy-to-communicate journey, a journey where we have identified the lack of power as the general problem. And when you don't have enough of something, the rational thing that people do is to go and get more. So the first phase of our journey is incremental power. And that phase involves getting all of the existing assets that are not performing, power plants that don't have gas to get gas, transmission lines that are not finished to finish, generation plants that have evacuation problems to be evacuated, maintenance of turbines that have been broken down, use all of the natural assets that we have other than gas, move to coal, move to solar, move to hydro, and do more of that to get power. So every unit of energy forms part of that first phase of our journey, incremental power. Getting to stable power will help us deal with some of the issues that have plagued our national economy. How many really are we? How much power do we need as a people? When is our peak energy demand and when is our off-peak energy demand? Should we produce a certain quantity because we are a certain number of people? Has our power need factored in all our telephones, the laptops we have acquired over the last 10 years? Who has the original and authentic audit of Nigeria's energy need? We hope to deal with that in the next census that we expect to commence sometime in 2017, so that we have a clear number of how many people really need power, how many people are getting it, and what is our deficit so that we can plan appropriately. The final leg, which is uninterrupted power, really rests more with the citizens. How do we sustainably use energy? Nothing that is wasted will ever be enough. So we must start an adaptation to conservation. We must use more energy conserving bulbs. We must be conscious of how we build our homes so that we can power and light our homes during the day with the natural rays of the sun rather than with electricity. Heating and cooling must become more climate friendly, energy friendly, and pocket friendly. So for me, the journey has started. Our power supply is increasing slowly. We're having problems with distributing them. Metering is a factor of distribution, it's a factor of revenue. We're having liquidity problems also in the sector. Bills can't be collected. Loans are stressing borrowers who took them. The foreign exchange dynamics have put real pressure on all the operators because their tariff and their inputs are calculated in dollars and are collected in naira, a currency that is in depreciation at the moment. How do they plan their annual delivery cycles and all of that are challenges that we are undertaking. The sector is also, of course, beleaguered by debts, but debts have to be verified because government has made a commitment that it will pay these debts. But of course, the liquidity problem is also beset by the ability to collect. How many people are using power when it is available, and how many of those who use them are actually paying for them? We have held the distribution companies accountable to a metering program that we think is possible. But I believe that they will also speak today to the challenges of metering and also the process of metering. The challenges of metering are different from the process of metering. Meters are not just bought off the shelf and put in your houses. They are calibrated for each disco because I believe that, first of all, their unit rates, even for the same set of customers, are different. And therefore, there's a process, even after the meter is manufactured, to be prepared for a particular disco. Thereafter, the process of installation begins. But also the feedback we are getting is that, as you will hear perhaps from Port Harcourt Disco, less than 30% of its installed meters are vending because people are bypassing them. So these are some of the issues that I hope that this town hall meeting will help to enlighten our people. But before I yield the podium, let me clarify one point that has gained prominence and that is perhaps inaccurate, that the transmission system is not reliable or it is the weakest link because it is only 5,000 megawatt capacity. That is erroneous. It is not accurate. The transmission system first is a dynamic system. Dynamic in the sense that we are building more transmission systems. We are increasing capacity to transmit energy between the generation companies and the distribution companies. This year alone, in this year's budget, there are projects for transmission. So it cannot be accurate if we are implementing the budget as we are to say that the number has remained at 5,000. That does not make logical sense. Just yesterday in Sokoto, we visited transmission stations. Even the transmission station in Sokoto is going to be completed at the end of this month, where we are upgrading the transmission capacity from a 60 MVA capacity. We are adding 2 extra 40 MVA transformers to increase the capacity. So if you add 40, 80 to 60, clearly the numbers have gone up. And just, I think about a fortnight ago, in the Federal Executive Council, we also got approved to increase the transmission capacity in Oshogbo and I believe in Shiroro. And last month, I think in the month of September, we were in Borno, where you would have seen news reports of progress being made in reconstructing the transmission station in Maiduguri and what we are doing in Damaturu, in Damboa, the places where terrorists had damaged transmission systems. So, and some of the transmission systems that had been put down in those areas are back because there is some power being supplied in those parts. And so it's an ongoing undertaking. We have, I think, about 139 of those transmission substations of the 132, 33 kVA rating, and we have, I think, about 44 of the 330, 132 kVA rating. Now, these are the engine houses, really, in a manner of speaking, of where power is maintained and serviced. The lines are perhaps, for want of a better word, if the transmission system is the transport side of the power. The lines and the towers that we normally call high tension wires are at best the wheels, but the engine is in those substations where parts damage, where they need to be managed and all of that. So it's an ongoing conversation, but we are not at 5,000 megawatts. The capacity is increasing every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.